Good morning, all of you. I get first.
Prayer. O Lord, each morning when we start our day at home, bless us with a successful day. Bless our teachers, one and all our friends, both big and small. Bless our parents whose love we share, and keep them always in your care. We thank thee, dearest Lord, for this new morning with its light, for rest and shelter of the night, for health and food, for love and friends. Now guide us through another day, when at school and when at play, and keep us safe from all evils. May I hate each evil thought, may I do all things I ought, enlighten our minds, strengthen our memories, and direct our wills to do what is right. O God, grant us courage to seek truth and make us truly wise by leading us from darkness to light. May all in this world be happy. May they be healthy. May they be comfortable.
Okay, good. So why people can't join at least five? I one minute earlier. That we teachers are very forced to join in advance and waiting for you. You have become such VIPs or what? It is not that I will take classes with the entire strength. If I am one is joining, that is enough for me. And you are literally and joining by 9596, and I am waiting till from 8:55 onwards. And you will join in your own time. What is nonsense you are thinking of? If you are not interested in the classes, don't join. That is the only thing. And we are forced, like we are waiting for you to join, and it is our duty that you have to wait and take classes for you. You have become so busy that at least you cannot join in time. These are the things first you have to learn, not that the things that are taught in the from the textbook. Okay, we are discussing about the imperfections or defects in the crystals, and we have seen about the defects in non-ionic compounds, stoichiometric defects, and in non-ionic compounds, it can be interstitial or vacancy defect. In case of ionic compounds, it can be fungal or Schottky defect. And we were discussing about defects in non-stoichiometric or stoichiometric defects. We were discussing about the stoichiometric defects, and we have seen that it can be metal excess defect or it can be metal deficiency defect, and metal excess defect can be in two ways. Metal excess defect can be in two ways. It can be by the loss of an anion. It can be by the loss of an anion, or it can be by the presence of the extra cation. It can be by the presence of extra cation. Okay, and we'll discuss about the non stoichiometric defect due to the presence of metal excess defect, due to the presence of one uh, metal excess defect due to the loss of an anion. So defects, metal excess defect, it can be by the presence of extra cation, or it can be by the loss of an anion. So we'll first discuss about the anionic uh, vacancies, metal excess defect due to the loss of an anion. When an anion is lost from the metal, from the solid, when an anion is lost from the solid, it will create an excess of metal, that means excess of positive ion in the solid, and the extra positive charge will be balanced by the presence of an extra electron, and this electron will be occupying the space which is vacated by the anion. And these anionic vacancies occupied by electrons will give will contribute towards the properties of that particular solid. They will give a characteristic color for the solid. They will make them electrical conductors. All these properties are due to the presence of these extra electron. I will take the case of I will take the example of NaCl. NaCl solid. So you are having sodium and chloride ions, which is orderly arranged like this. Here we have Cl minus, Na plus, and Cl minus, Na plus. Okay, let this be a crystal. Then Na plus, Cl minus, Na plus, Cl minus. So we are going to talk about anionic vacancies, or the metal excess defect due to the presence of an or due to the loss of an anion, due to the loss of anion. Okay. Now, a sodium chloride crystal is prepared in presence of sodium vapors. That is considered like this. Sodium chloride, crystallization of sodium chloride is taking place in presence of sodium vapors. And when crystallization takes place in presence of sodium vapors, some of the sodium atoms may get deposited at the surface here. Sodium atoms will get deposited. Now, what happens is that when sodium atoms are getting deposited on the surface, the chloride ion which is there in the crystal, they will migrate, they will diffuse, and they will combine with the sodium ion. Okay. Now, this chloride ion is left this position, and it is joining with this sodium atom. And for the sodium atom to combine with the sodium chloride ion, it has to ionize, and it has to become Na plus, and it has to leave this electron. It has to ionize, and this electron will be there. And now this Na plus ion and Cl minus will combine to give NaCl. Okay, this sodium atom which is deposited, that will ionize as Na plus, and that Na plus will combine with the diffused Cl minus, and it will form NaCl. And this electron will migrate, and it will occupy the position which is vacated by the Cl minus. So now in this position there is no Cl minus. Now here you are having electron, and this is an anionic vacancy. This is an anionic vacancy, and it is now occupied by electron. And this electron contributes towards the electrical properties as well as the color of the compound. For example, if you are talking about sodium chloride, it will be yellow in color. And if potassium chloride is crystallized in presence of potassium vapors, it will give a characteristic violet color for the potassium chloride. Okay, and these anionic vacancies which are occupied by the electrons, these are known as Fs and Ds. So this is very important. What are Fs and Ds? Fs and Ds are nothing but anionic vacancies occupied by the electron. And the reason, or we call it as Farben center. F center is nothing but Farben center. Farben center means that color producing centers. Color producing centers. Farben, Farben, Farben center. Farben centers. and it is nothing but centers, color producing centers. Okay. Now, the loss of the anion from the crystal lattice makes an extra cation in the crystal lattice, so we call it as a metal excess defect. We call it as metal excess defect. And if similarly, if lithium chloride is crystallized in presence of lithium, then it will have a pink color. It will have a pink color. Similarly, KCl, if it is crystallized in presence of potassium vapors, it will have a violet or a violet or a lilac color. So here you are having pink color. So all this color of the alkali metal halides is due to the presence of F center. So you should be very much thorough with this F center. F center is nothing but anionic vacancies occupied by uh, electrons. And here the anion is migrating from their normal lattice position and it is interacting with the metal which is deposited at the surface of the crystal, and they will give out the electron, and this electron will be occupying this the vacant position or anionic vacancy, and that will be called by the name F center. F center. I hope this is very much clear. So this is one of the way in which uh, there can be excess of metal in the crystal lattice. And the second way by which we are getting a metal excess defect is by the presence of extra cation. Presence of extra cation in the crystal lattice. For example, I am talking about the crystal of zinc oxide. When zinc oxide is heated, it will release uh, oxygen molecule, and it will give electrons. Now, when zinc oxide is heated, you are having a crystal lattice of zinc oxide, and it is heated, and oxygen gas, this oxygen gas is removed or it is released. Once this oxygen gas is released, what happens? There is the presence of an extra cation. There is the presence of extra cation, and this extra cation will be occupying the interstitial positions, and to balance the charge of the extra cation there will be electrons that will occupy the nearby interstitial positions. And this is also a metal excess defect, and here the metal excess defect is due to the presence of extra cation. And this zinc oxide, when it is heated, it will have when zinc oxide is heated at high temperature, it becomes colored. It becomes colored. And what will be the reason for the color of the zinc oxide? What is the reason
Because
for the?
electrons are there, sir.
There are two electrons. Actually, zinc oxide is white. Zinc oxide is white. When it is heated, it will the yellow color is due to the presence of these electrons. These electrons will absorb energy in the visible region, and they will undergo excitation, and when they get de-excited, the absorbed energy will be released, and that is why it's colored. Okay, so these are the two metal excess defects by the presence of extra cathode or due to the presence of anionic vacancies. So this is what I told you: metal excess defect due to anionic vacancies. Normally, alkali metal halides like they show this type of defect when such crystals are prepared in the atmosphere of their metal. They are getting deposited on the surface of the metal. The Cl minus ions diffuse to the surface of the crystal and combine with the sodium ions to give NaCl. And during that process, an electron will be released, and that electrons will occupy the anionic vacancies. And as a result, the metal or crystal or the solid will have an excess of sodium. The anionic vacancies occupied by that unpaired electrode is known as F centers. They impart yellow color for the sodium chloride. and the color is due to the excitation of these electrons and they absorb in the visible light falling the crystal. Similarly, excess of lithium will make this lithium chloride pink and potassium will make it violet. Okay, and this was the second one, metal excess defect due to the presence of extra cations. And this is what I told you, zinc oxide is heated. Zinc oxide is white in color. Now there is excess of zinc ion. When it is heated, oxygen is removed, so extra zinc ion is there. The zinc ion will occupy the interstitial position, and the nearby interstitial positions will have the extra electrons. The charges should be maintained, so that electrons will be occupied the nearby interstitial positions. Okay, and as a result, it will be violet in color. Now we are going to discuss about the metal deficiency defect. So what are the two ways by which there can be metal deficiency? Yesterday we have discussed what are the two ways by which there can be metal deficiency in a solid. What are the different ways which
Anions.
Extra.
there can be a loss of a cation or there can be the presence of an extra anion. The extra anion. Okay, so I am taking the case of metal deficiency defect. Metal deficiency defect, and this metal deficiency can be by the loss of a cation or it can be by the presence of extra anion. Okay, now we'll talk about the first case, loss of a cation. I'm taking the case of ferrous oxide, FeO. And it is very difficult to prepare FeO in the stoichiometry composition. If I am preparing them in the stoichiometry ratio, what should be the ratio for iron 2 plus and a oxide ion? It should be in the ratio 1:1, and normally it will be in the range 0.95 to 1. For every oxygen, one oxygen at an average, there will be only 0.95 iron atoms. So there is a deficiency of Fe2 plus. So let us talk about this one. Fe2 plus, oxygen 2 minus, a crystal lattice is formed. Fe2 plus, let it be like this, oxygen 2 minus, and here also at the bottom the same thing is happening. O2 minus, Fe2 plus, O2 minus, Fe2 plus. Okay, here Fe2 plus, O2 minus, Fe2 plus, O2 minus, Fe2 plus, O2 minus. Okay, now iron can be in two different oxidation states. What are the possible oxidation states of iron?
Fe3 plus and Fe2 plus. Sir.
Fe3 plus and Fe2 plus. Okay, now what happens is that there is a loss of a cation. Let me say that instead of this position, you are having an Fe3 plus. Okay, and let me say that this position is also occupied by Fe3 plus. And the crystal as a whole, they should maintain electrical neutrality. So what happens? Two extra positive charges. Two extra positive charges are there, and that two extra positive charges are neutralized by the loss of an Fe2 plus. Let me say that Fe2 plus is lost from this position. Now, one cation is lost. The loss of the cation is modified by the presence of an extra charge on the nearby cations. So these two Fe2 plus two charges are lost. That charges are maintained, or electrical neutrality is maintained by acquiring extra positive charge by the nearby cations. So these two nearby cations are gaining one more charge, one more positive charge, and that will compensate for the loss of this cation. Now here a cation is lost, and the position of the cation, you are having a vacancy. You are having a vacancy. there is a defect, but the charges are neutralized by the presence of extra charges on the nearby cations. Okay, so here I told you it is not in the ratio 1 is to 1, it is 0.95. What will be the rest? What will compensate for this, the rest of the 1? What will compensate? It is compensated, the charge or the loss of the cation is compensated by the presence of uh, an extra charge on the nearby cations, and this type of defect is possible when the metal is capable of showing more than one oxidation state. So here we have taken the example of solids FeO, and normally it is point Fe 0.950, actually range 0.93 to 96. In crystals, some of the positions of Fe2 plus will be occupied by Fe3 plus, or some Fe2 plus will be missing, and that will be compensated by the extra charge, gaining of extra positive charge on the nearby Fe2 plus ions, and they will become Fe3 plus. So when two Fe2 plus is converted into Fe3 plus, it can compensate for the loss of one Fe2 plus. So that is why metal deficiency defect is created. And similarly, there can be the presence of an extra anion, and this anion will be present in the interstitial position, and the extra charge is compensated by extra negative charge is compensated by the presence of extra positive charge on the nearby cation. So that is also possible. So these are the different. This is what I told about the F center in case of potassium chloride. So that are the different properties possible, different defects possible in the crystal lattice. Any doubts regarding these things? Any doubts?
No, sir.
You have to be very much thorough with the F center. What is an F center? What is the reason for the question will be like this? Why
Ari
potassium
Benzer
chloride?
Center.
What is that?
Ari Benzer Center, sir. F Center.
F center, Farben center, Farben, Zden, Farben center. It's a German word, and from that it is nothing but color producing centers. Color producing centers. Okay, and what is F center? That is very important. And also why potassium chloride crystals will be colored, or why sodium chloride crystals will be colored, that you should know. Why zinc oxide uh, is yellow on heating, that also I told you, due to the presence of extra cation, and due to that equation you have to write, and you have to show that it is colored due to the presence of the two electrons, and it is a metal excess defect and non-stoichiometric defect. So these are the things that you have to keep in mind. Okay, so that is about all about the metal defects. Okay, and these all are these are called the point defects. Okay, and it is an intrinsic defect. Then we will be talking about the electrical properties of the metals due to electronic defects. The electrical properties. A solid material can show both magnetic as well as electrical properties, and based on the electrical property, we can divide materials based on the electrical conductivity. Based on the electrical conductivity, we can divide substances into three categories. What are the three categories? We can consider them as conductors, then second category semiconductor, and third one is insulator. These are the three categories to which we can classify the materials on the basis of their electrical conductivity. If the conductivity is in the range 10 to the power 4 to 10 to the power 7 ohm inverse, meter inverse, then If the electrical conductivity falls in this range, then it will be called as a conductor. And if the conductivity is in the range 10 to the power minus 6 to 10 to the power 4, then the ohm inverse, meter inverse, then it will be falling under semiconductor. And if the electrical conductivity is in the range 10 to the power minus 20 to 10 to the power minus 10, minus 20 to 10, then that will be falling under insulators. So these are the three different categories of the substances based on the electrical conductivity: conductors, insulators, and semiconductors based on their electrical property. Semiconductors, this is what I told you. Okay. Then when we are talking about conductors, conductors can be of two types. It can conduct by the movement of electrons, which we call as electronic conductors, and there are solids which can conduct by the movement of ions. Conductors can be either electronic electronic conductors, or it can be electrolytic. Here they conduct by electrons. Here they will conduct by means of ions. So can you give an example of an electronic conductor? Example of an electronic conductor. Which conducts due to the movement of electrons.
All metals, sir.
All metals. All metals will be examples of electronic conductors. And when they conduct by the movement of electrons, there is no change in the chemical composition of the substance, and it will remain as such. And electrolytic conductors, they will conduct by the movement of ions. All kind of salt, aqueous solution or molten solution of salt, they will conduct by means of electrolytic conductors. And electrolytic when they conduct by means of electrolytic or movement of ions, there will be changes in the chemical composition of the material. There will be changes in the chemical composition of the material. And the conductivity of a metal, conductivity of metal can be explained by means of a theory known as band theory, which is very important. Band theory. This explains the conductivity of electronic conductors, especially metals. Okay. And according to band theory, it is nothing but something related to molecular orbital theory. So when you are talking about a metal, there will be large number of atoms present in it, and they will have enormous number of atomic orbitals. These atomic orbitals combine to give molecular orbitals. And since large number of atoms are present, these molecular orbitals will be lying close together, and these molecular orbitals will form bands. The closely spaced or packed molecular orbitals will form a band. They will form a band. And we'll see that there will be mainly two types of band formed. One is valence band, and the second one is conduction band. There will be two bands. One is valence band and the other one is conduction band. What is a band? It is nothing but a closely spaced molecular orbitals of the various atoms in a solid. And valence band is nothing but the highest occupied molecular orbital. Highest occupied orbital. Highest occupied orbital. And this is the lowest unoccupied unoccupied orbital. So, for example, to make it more clear, I will explain with the case of sodium. What is the which orbital is having the valence electron of sodium?
Orbital.
3s orbital. So we say 3s1. So 3s orbital is the highest occupied orbital. Highest occupied orbit, energy level. Highest occupied energy orbital is nothing but an energy level. And which is the next energy level after 3s? After
3p.
3s, which is the next energy level?
3p. 3p.
3p. 3p. Is it occupied in case of sodium?
Empty.
No,
It is
sir.
empty.
Empty.
So it is empty. So this will form the lowest unoccupied orbital. 3p will form the lowest unoccupied energy level, and highest occupied energy level will be 3s. 3s will be the highest occupied energy level. So valence band will be the combination of the highest occupied molecular orbitals, and conduction band will be the combination of lowest unoccupied molecular orbitals. Okay, and when you are talking about conductivity in a conductor, these conductors will have either partially filled valence band. They will have partially filled valence band. So let me say this is valence band, and this is partially filled. Only this much is filled. The remaining space is empty. So the electrons can move to these empty spaces, which will result in conductivity. Or they will have, these conductors will have fully occupied valence band. This valence band will be fully occupied, but they will be overlapping with the empty conduction band. This is conduction band, so they are overlapping with the conduction band, so that from the valence band easily electrons can move to the conduction band, and that will result in the conductivity. Are you getting? Are you getting or not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is what metals conduct electricity in solid as well as molten state. Conductivity in metals depends upon the number of valence electrons available per atom. So you know the structure of a metal. It will be the kernels. It will be having large number of kernels, which is immersed in a sea of electrons. The atomic orbitals of the metal atoms form molecular orbitals which are so close in energy to each other, and so they will form a band. If the band is partially filled or it overlaps with the higher energy unoccupied conduction band, then electrons can flow easily under the applied electrical field, and the metal shows conducted. This is what I have shown. If it is partially filled, valence band is partially filled, or if it is overlapping with the empty conduction band, then that will result in the conductivity, which is the reason for conductivity in case of uh, in case of metals. In case of metals, okay. And if the gap between the filled valence band and the next higher unoccupied band is large, then electrons cannot jump and to it, and it will result in the formation of an insulator. So this is what I told you. This is the case of a conductor where you have a partially filled conduction band, sorry, partially filled valence band, or overlapping conductance band and valence band. Now, in case of semiconductors as well as insulators, there will be gap between the conduction band and the valence band. This gap is what we call as the forbidden zone or the energy gap. It is known as the forbidden zone or the energy gap. Now, if they have to conduct electricity, these electrons in the filled conduction filled valence band, they should jump to the conduction band. Here also they should come jump to the conduction band. If the energy gap is so large so that the electrons will not have sufficient energy to jump to the conduction band, if the gap is very large, then that is the case of the insulators. The energy gap between the valence band and the conduction band will be so large so that electrons cannot move towards the conduction band. But in case of semiconductors, there is the gap, but the energy gap is very small, so that by applying some energy, these electrons can move towards this conduction band. They can migrate towards the conduction band. So they will show a little bit of conductivity. They will show a little bit of conductivity. This is what we call as the band theory, and this picture is very important. You should, whenever band theory is asked, you should be explaining with the help of these pictures. This is partially filled valence band. This is conduction band overlapping with the valence band. This is the case of the band structure in case of an insulator, where you will have a large energy gap between these two so that the electrons from the valence band cannot move towards the conduction band. And in case of a semiconductor, the gap is small so that by applying some energy, the electrons can jump from the valence band to the conduction band. So what is the valence band? What is the valence band?
Energy of electron.
It is nothing but the highest occupied molecular orbital or highest occupied energy level, and the conduction band is the lowest unoccupied energy level. Lowest unoccupied energy level. And as I told you, the conductivity of the semiconductors are too low to be for any particle practical use. And the semiconductors, as I told you, what happens is that example is silicon or germanium is an example for a semiconductor. So in such cases, what happens is that just like diamond, each silicon atom will be linked with four more silicon atoms since the valency is 4. Valency of all 14 group is 4. So each silicon atom will be capable of forming bonds with the 4 nearby silicon atoms, and normally all the valencies will be satisfied. But what happens is that at a higher temperature, some of the electrons of these bonds, they will break away from the bond and they will be remaining free. Some electrons will be free. Some the shared electrons, they will jump and they will make themselves free. And these free electrons are the are responsible for the conductivity of the semiconductors like silicon and germanium. Or I can say that at 0 Kelvin, at absolute zero, they will be acting as perfectly insulator. But at higher temperatures, we call at higher temperatures, some of the bonds will be broken and some of the electrons will be free to conduct. That is the reason for semiconductivity. And that is intrinsic conductors, because within this, in this solid, they these defects or electrons are free, and they are free to conduct electricity. So as I told you, these are electronic defects. And these conductivity under normal conditions, it is very low for any practical use, and you can increase the conductivity of such semiconductors by adding suitable impurities. Calculated amount of suitable impurities can be added, and we can increase the semiconductivity or conductivity of these semiconductors. And that purpose or that process of adding impurities to increase the conductivity of a semiconductor is known as doping. Okay, this process called is doping. The conductivity, increase the conductivity of a semiconductor by adding a suitable amount of impurity is known as doping. And doping can be done with the help of an electron rich impurity or it can be done with the help of an electron deficient impurity, electron deficient as well as electron rich. So this is what I told you about the structure of silicon, a semiconductor. So there are each, when you're talking about each silicon atom, it will be forming four covalent bond. Four electrons are shared with the nearby silicon atoms, and they will be forming four covalent bonds. And some cases, these electrons will jump from their normal bond position, and they will be responsible for conductivity, semiconductivity, and that is very low for any practical use. Now, what I'm doing, I am going to dope these semiconductors with an impurity. What is doping? What is doping?
Adding of impurities to a semiconductor for the conduction of electricity.
For increasing the conductivity. Now, what I'm doing is silicon, it is a group 14 element, So to increase the conductivity, I am adding an electron rich impurity, just like let me say a 15 group element like arsenic or phosphorus. Group 15 element is added to that.
Pentavalent.
Here I have shown the example of an arsenic. Now arsenic will have 5 valence electrons. 4 valence electrons are used for bonding. One extra electron is there. One extra electron is present in the crystal lattice, which is not used for bonding. And that extra electron, so arsenic will occupy some of the positions of the silicon, and when arsenic occupies some of the positions of silicon, there will be extra electrons, and these electrons will be increasing the conductivity, and this type of doping with an electron rich impurity will create an n type semiconductor. N stands for negative. Here electrons, extra electrons are there, electrons are negative in charge, so that is why we call these are n type semiconductors. A doping a semiconductor with an electron rich impurity will always lead to n type semiconductor, will always lead to n type semiconductor. Okay. Now, at the same time, instead of arsenic, I am doping the silicon group 14 element. Group 14 silicon and germanium are semiconductors, and this group 14 is doped with a electron deficient element like group 13, like boron. What are the group 13? Aluminium, boron, aluminium, gallium, indium. So boron or gallium is used. Now boron will bring 3 electrons, but we need 4 electrons for forming 4 bonds. So at one position you will not have sufficient electron to form the bond, and that position will be left vacant, and that vacant position will be called as a hole. It will be called as a hole. Okay, and these boron are occupying some of the positions of the silicon, and whenever a boron is occupying the position of a silicon, it will create a hole. And what happens is that the electron from the nearby positions can migrate toward this hole, creating a hole in their original position, and they will create a hole in their original position. So this migration of electrons is responsible for the conductivity. Electrons are migrating to this position, the hole, and here you will have a hole. In this position which was occupied by electron, there will be creation of hole, and electrons are moving in this direction, and hole is moving in the opposite direction. So we call these holes as nothing but positive senders. Holes will seem as if positive senders because holes are moving in a direction opposite to that of the electrons. And here the conduction is due to the formation of the holes, and holes are positive. That is why a, a doping a semiconductor with electron deficient impurities will create p-type semiconductors. So n-type and p-type. When will you get n-type?
Near pentavalent impurity.
When excess of when it is doped with an excess impurity, which is electron excess, and you will get p-type when a semiconductor is doped with an electron deficient impurity, and here the conductivity in case of weak type semiconductors, conductivity is due to the movement of holes. Actually, it's not the holes, electrons are conducting, but it is seems as if it is the holes are conducting. And in n type, the conductivity is due to the movement of electrons. So this is about the semiconductors, and these semiconductors will find a lot of applications, and about which we'll discuss in the evening. So evening we have a short class class for the short duration, and all should join during the evening class. So what time? 3:30 same time. Is it okay? Okay, all join at 3:30 today evening and join for the class, and we'll wind up or complete the little more is there that will complete today evening. Mostly within half an hour we'll be able to complete, and we'll complete it by today evening. So join for the class by 3:30. Thank you all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.